Aloha. We are going to take a look now at how one edits multitrack audio. So you've finished your film shoot, you're editing a short, and you've gotten audio files from a dedicated recorder. And you're thinking about, how do I use these? So let's take a look at what we've got here. I am using Adobe Audition for this demo, but don't let that throw you. The techniques I'm demonstrating are not unique to this software. They work with any sort of audio or video editing software for that matter. So the piece that I'm working with is a scene from a movie called Alma's Second Act. And this is a scene that has 4 characters in it. The character of Alma, who is the lead, her sister Edna, her mother Maribel, and her father Sal. Each of those characters is wearing a wireless body mic. In addition to that, we have a boom mic covering the scene. So if you look at my tracks here, you'll see I've got 7 tracks. The top 2, the mixed left and the mixed right, are a combination of all of the other microphones mixed together into a stereo pair. I almost never use this file. It comes out of every recorder. You have to really put extra effort into not recording it if you don't want it. I think of it as a safety. There's a chance that I might need it, but generally speaking, I don't use these. Next down we have Alma's lavalier microphone, then Edna's lavalier microphone, Maribel's lavalier microphone, Sal's lavalier microphone, and down here at the bottom we have the boom mic. So we have 4 ISO channels. ISO means isolated, 1 for each character in addition to the boom, and then these 2 up here that we're just not going to use. So real quick, let's just take a listen to the overall piece here and see what it sounds like with everything turned on.
Action!
Oh my God, look at all this food! I think I'm done with acting. I just want to lay low for a little while, you know?
Oh, thanks God. And it's good that you've moved in with your sister.
Go back to school. I'll pay for it. As long as it's not a 4-year degree. Then you'll have to take out a loan.
Oh, you could be a nurse like your sister?
No.
I don't think you'd make a good nurse.
Wow, thanks, Ate.
What do you want?
I want to do something where I'm actually needed.
Sorry, I paused it there towards the end. I was getting itchy fingers. The conversation continues a little bit longer, but that's plenty for what we're doing today. The yellow lines that run across each of these tracks represent volume. And this is going to be the same on whatever editing software you're working with. There will be a horizontal line that indicates the volume level of it, and you can turn these up or down. I also have the ability to mute and to solo individual tracks. Muting means that it silences them. So if I were to mute these top 2 tracks and this bottom track, we won't hear them during playback. But I haven't actually changed anything. They're still there if I want them. The other thing that I can do is I can solo any one of them. So if I were to solo Edna's microphone, for example, the only thing I will hear is Edna's microphone.
I could be a massage therapist. I have pointy elbows. How hard could that be?
Some massage therapists do work in hospitals.
So I'll be toggling those on and off as we edit. Now again, I have no intention of using the left or right mix, so I am going to go ahead and pull those volume levels all the way down. I could delete these 2 tracks, and in fact, if we were farther into the editing system, or editing session rather, I would. As we got close to being complete, I would start wanting to neaten up my timeline, so I'd delete stuff that was unused. Likewise, I'm going to turn the boom mic all the way down. My hope is that I can do this using only the lavaliers. Now I'm going to work this kind of sideways, but I think you'll see what's going on. So I am actually going to start with Sal, with the father. So I'm going to solo that channel. He's the only thing I want to hear. And he literally only has one part in the dialogue where he's talking about paying for the education. Let's listen to that real quick.
Go back to school. I'll pay for it. As long as it's not a 4-year degree. Then you'll have to take out a loan.
Okay. That's literally the only thing he says in this entire scene. So I'm going to use a technique called keyframing to turn down the audio from his microphone before he says those lines and after he says those lines. And again, it doesn't really matter what software you have. It will be able to do audio keyframing. And you can see from the yellow line that this track is going to be very quiet until suddenly the volume comes up and he speaks his lines, and then it goes down again. Now, let's play it, and as I play it, I'm going to take a look at the audio meter down here at the bottom.
Go back to school. I'll pay for it. As long as it's not a 4-year degree.
He's really not very loud. He's you can hear him, but I would like it to be a little bit better than that. I like to run the dialogue up closer between -6 and -3 at this stage of editing. I'll fine-tune things later, but right now I just want to make sure that everyone sounds pretty consistent. So I am going to turn the volume just for those lines up a bit. All right, and let's see how that goes. I'm looking for peaks hanging out somewhere in this -6 to -3 area.
Go back to school. I'll pay for it. As long as it's not a 4-year degree.
All right, it's a little bit higher than I wanted it to be. I'll pull that down just a little bit. I'm not being too particular right now. I just want to be able to hear everyone cleanly. Okay, now I'm going to move up here to the mother. So I'm going to solo the mother's track. Now she has a line just before the dad speaks.
Oh, thanks God. And it's good that you've moved in with your sister.
Now she didn't speak before that, so I'm just going to use my keyframes to turn down everything that happened before that line. And then she has a line after the father speaks.
Oh, you could be a nurse like your sister?
No.
Okay, you could be a nurse like your sister. And then after that, she doesn't speak again for a while. So I'm going to turn everything after that down. Now, you heard the word no. That's coming from another character. We'll deal with that in a second. Now, between these two lines, this is where the husband or the father is talking. I don't want her microphone picking that up. So I'm going to turn that middle part down. Again, I'm using keyframes to isolate the parts. So you can see that mom's voice comes up for her first line. It disappears. That microphone is going to mute while the dad is talking. Then her voice is going to come back up. Her mic is going to come back up.
Oh, thanks God. And it's good that you've moved in with your sister.
Okay, that's on the low side. I'm not surprised. So again, we're just going to push this up a bit. And we're looking for those same peaks, somewhere in that -6 to -3 area.
Oh, thanks God. And it's good that you've moved in with your sister.
Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing over here on the right.
Oh, you could be a nurse like your sister?
No.
All right. Now, I am going to zoom in a little bit to this. And again, your software will certainly let you zoom in and out. And that'll give me better control. I can probably get rid of that word no, which is probably that little blob of audio waveform right there.
You could be a nurse like your sister?
All right. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to get rid of all of it.
You could be a nurse like your sister?
I just don't want it to be an element. All right, so if I listen to the two of these together now, you can hear this part of the conversation is coming along nicely.
Oh, thanks God. And it's good that you've moved in with your sister.
Go back to school. I'll pay for it. As long as it's not a 4-year degree. Then you'll have to take out a loan.
Oh, you could be a nurse like your sister?
All right. So I am now going to move on up to Edna. I'm going to solo that so we're only listening to her microphone. Now, Edna doesn't have any lines in the first part of the conversation, not until after the idea of nurse is floated.
No.
I don't think he'd make a good nurse.
So that's her. I don't think you'd make a good nurse. So everything that happens before that, I'm going to go ahead and turn all the way down because that's all she says.
Wow. Thanks, Ate.
What do you want?
And then she says, "What do you want?" And that's the last thing that she says. And now I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so I can see what's going on here a little more closely. This louder part is Alma protesting. So this is where the sister Edna says, "What do you want?"
What do you want?
So I am going to mark that with keyframes because I want to keep that loud, but everything to the left quiet. And then I want to find out where she says, "I don't think you'd make a very good nurse."
I don't think you'd make a good nurse.
And I'm going to put keyframes there. So this middle part where Alma is protesting, "Wow!" All right, I'm going to pull that down. So now I should have isolated, and I might not have done a very good job. Let's see.
No.
I don't think you'd make a good nurse.
Okay, I wasn't very clean on that beginning. You can hear "no" in the background, so I'm just going to change my keyframe a little bit.
I don't think you'd make a good nurse.
Okay, we're not interested in that.
What do you want?
Okay, so now I've just preserved those two parts that I want. The audio levels are just a little bit lower than I would like for this point, so I'm just going to sneak them up a little. I'm being very zen at
I
the
don't
moment.
think you'd make a good nurse. What do you want?
Okay, let me zoom back out so we can see everything. All right, so now we have these bottom 3 bits of conversation done. Oops, let's turn off all this little... Okay, so now we're going to go and we're going to do Alma. And I can almost do this by negative, right? If anyone else has got their mic turned up, I can turn Alma's down. It's not going to be quite that simple, but we can certainly give it a shot. So Alma's dialogue is the opening. She says, "Oh, look at all this food." And then, "I don't think I want to do this thing." And then once the mother starts talking, Alma's going to have stopped. So we're going to go ahead and bring that down like so. And then here at the end, actually before we bring it down, let's take a look at what happens next. I just hit undo there.
Just like your sister?
No.
Okay, so Alma's going to say no. And we want to preserve that. So everything in between here should be muted. And then Alma says no. And her sister is talking right here, saying, "I don't think you'd be a very good nurse." So we are going to put keyframes and pull that little bit down. And then Alma says, "Hey!" Her sister says, "Well, what do you want?" So I'm going to pull that part down because we don't need Alma's mic for that. Okay, so we start the scene with Alma talking, right? Which is up to here. Mother talks. Father talks, mother talks, Alma, sister, Alma, sister, Alma. Let's take a quick look. I haven't tweaked the levels here. We might have to play with this a little bit yet. But let's just listen to Alma to check her levels.
Action.
Oh my God, look at all this food.
Okay, so that's all too loud. We can see that it's going too far up. But I can see it gets quieter after that. So I'm just going to use keyframes again to bring that first part down a little bit.
Oh my God, look at all this food.
That works.
I think I'm done with acting. I just want to lay low for a little while, you know?
Okay, it's not as loud as I would like it. Again, for this stage in editing, I want everything to be consistently on the loud side, so I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Again, I'm looking for peaks between -6 and -3 dB at this point. So watching my meters.
I think I'm done with acting. I just want to lay low for a little while, you know?
Maybe it's a little bit higher than it needs to be, but that'll work for now. Again, I will give it more polish later. Right now, I'm just trying to sculpt. I'm trying to shape.
No.
All right, let me zoom in on this one because it's quick, so we need to get it a little bit tight. So this little blob here is her saying no, and we just want to kind of isolate that. We're trying not to have anybody else's mic open at the same time.
No.
All right, and we're going to turn it up just a little bit.
No.
Okay.
Wow, thanks, Ate.
Okay, that's a little bit loud, so we're going to pull that down, but the beginning and the end of it is fine.
Wow, thanks, Ate.
We're going to pull it down a little bit more than that. She really, she was loud
Wow,
in her
thanks,
performance.
Ate.
Okay, that'll work.
I want to do something where I'm actually needed.
All right, we're going to bring this up a little bit. And we're going to start it a little sooner. My fade is cutting off the beginning just a little there.
I want to do something where I'm actually needed.
All right. The conversation goes on from there, but this is plenty. So let's turn off soloing. So now we're listening to all the channels. Now again, up here for the first two channels, mixed left and mixed right, I turned the volume all the way down on those so I can't hear them. Likewise with the boom microphone, I turned the volume all the way down on those. So even though I've got 7 on the screen, only 4 of them are doing anything, which are the 4 isolated recordings of the lavalier microphones. And you can see that the way I've got them turned up and down, only one person talks at a time. Let's see what it sounds like.
Action.
Oh my God, look at all this food. I think I'm done with acting. I just want to lay low for a little while, you know?
Oh, thanks God. And it's good that you've moved in with your sister.
Go back to school. I'll pay for it. As long as it's not a 4-year degree. Then you'll have to take out a loan.
Oh, you could be a nurse like your sister?
No.
I don't think you'd make a good nurse.
Wow, thanks, Ate.
What do you want?
I want to do something where I'm actually needed.
All right, and like I said, the conversation continues from there. Isn't that so much nicer and cleaner than it was before? Well, maybe you don't believe me, so let's turn the volume back up on the mixes just so you can hear a comparison. Oops. All right, I'm going to solo the left and right mix, so that's all we're listening to. We don't hear any of my carefully crafted manipulation down here.
Oh my God, look at all this food. I think I'm done with acting. I just want to lay low for a little while, you know?
Oh, thanks God. And it's good that you've moved in with your sister.
Go back to school. I'll pay for it. As long as it's not a 4-year degree. Then you'll have to take out a loan.
Oh, you could be a nurse like your sister?
No.
I don't think you'd make a good nurse.
Wow, thanks, Ate.
What do you want?
I want to do something where I'm actually needed.
All right, do you hear how much more noise there is and also how hollow, kind of echoey all of the characters sound? That's what happens when you've got microphones open, when you're hearing the same voice on more than one microphone. It introduces a little bit of phase cancellation, a little bit of echo, so everything sounds less crisp, less close. Even though the microphone is just inches from their mouth, it sounds like it's farther away. So by going through and only using the mic we want when it's in use, everything sounds a lot cleaner. There are some other issues in here. You probably noticed that there's some crackly static on Alma's microphone. That's some clothing noise. We'd have to clean that up separately, and I may do a video on that. But in terms of just what do you do with all of these tracks of audio as you're putting your film together, this is what you're shooting for. You only want to use the track that's active at the time. Now, in this particular scene, I didn't use the boom microphone at all, and I don't need it. I've got good clean feeds off of the lavaliers. But let's go ahead, just for the sake of completeness, I'm going to turn that microphone up. We'll solo it, so it's the only thing we're hearing. Let's listen to what it sounds like on the boom.
Oh my God, look at all this food. I think I'm done with acting. I just want to lay low for a little while, you know?
Oh, thanks God. And it's good that you've moved in with your sister.
Go back to school. I'll pay for it. As long as it's not a 4-year degree. Then you'll have to take out a loan.
Oh, you could be a nurse like your sister?
No.
I don't think you'd make a good nurse.
Wow, thanks, Ate.
What do you want?
I want to do something where I'm actually needed.
All right. So It's not that it sounds bad. It's not that the mix sounded bad. It's just not quite as clean. The microphone's not as close. The relative volumes of the characters are inconsistent, and I won't have an easy way to fix that. And there's more ambience to it. Although the noise of the plates and the forks and stuff on the table as they're eating dinner is much nicer there. I might actually use this for some sound effect. So what I might do is, rather than getting rid of it all the way, I might just turn it down pretty far and let it be part of the ambiance.
I think I'm done with acting. I just want to lay low for a little while, you know?
Oh, thanks God. And it's good that you've moved in with your sister.
Go back to school.
Yeah, I think I like that. But anyway, that is the idea. If you've got these beautiful multi-track recordings and you took the time to put microphones on individual performers plus run the boom, you should take the time in editing to use those things. So get rid of the mix tracks. The mix tracks don't do you any favors. They're really handy for doing rough cuts, maybe because you have all the audio mixed together and they're easy to reference. But I almost never end up using a mix track in a final edit. And then work with what you have. Decide which microphones you're going to use and turn them up when it's appropriate. All right, I hope that helps.